Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Jamie, and this will be a reading for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. If you're completely new to tarot, just know that not every Sag reading is going to resonate for you. If you feel like I'm wrong or this just isn't your reading, just discard it. It's not for you. I'm also going to pull cards like King, Queen, Emperor, and Empress. Those cards describe a really specific personality, so you can disregard the sex or gender. Like if I pull a Queen of Wands, I could be talking about a guy. If you enjoy the reading and you want some more, you can subscribe to the channel. It'll notify you every time I post. I also offer a membership. If you want to check out all the perks for that, you can just click the join button. It'll take you to the membership tab. I also offer private personals to my members. So feel free to just skip past me shuffling everything and pulling it out. I won't talk about the cards until everything's on the table. So we have dance. Allow yourself some fun each day, just as the sun dances with the moon each night. And community garden. As I sow love into others, I'm cherished by them. I accept the responsibility to cultivate relationships in my life like a garden. When a relationship does not bear fruit, I'm wise enough to prune it. So the main energy here, the desired, I guess, is the Three of Wands. In the challenge position, we have the Page of Cups. Clarifying, I have the Seven of Cups in the reverse, the Six of Pentacles, and the Moon, Pisces energy. You know, technically the Moon is Pisces energy in the tarot, but the moon also rules Cancer, and I feel like that's important for somebody here. There's something about a Cancer. Anyway, I think that you've been practicing patience, where you're trying to be more patient, you know. And I think a lot of people test that patience, you know, in really unfair ways. You know, I feel like, you know, whatever it is that you do, it's like you're part of a community, clearly, right? And like a lot of the relationships from that community are really positive. But then there are those more negative interactions, and I feel like, you know, they can be a little confusing. They can throw you off, make you have some self-doubt, but they're like unfair interactions, you know what I mean? I feel like it's hard for you sometimes still to show up, you know, vulnerable and open to people when there are other people that have like really less than good intentions or like hidden motives and a lot of unfairness. I think that you've had to like learn along the way, like I guess to discern who's who. Because I'm kind of getting there's been two sides of you. There's been a side that was too open, you know, and this led to unfair interactions, especially monetarily. So this would be like, you know, say, random, I open a hair salon, right? And I do services really cheap for my friends, and they love to come through and get that cheap service, but they're not really like promoting me or like even throwing me a tip, or you know what I mean? Like they're happy to get something, but they're not really happy to give. So if you're too giving, if you're too kind, you will get stepped on. But then in the other way, where I think someone's been maybe even like overly protective, where they just sort of like, if someone said even something that they just would misinterpret, it's like they might go off, like they would just, you know, get into this emotional space. So I feel like there's this wanting to have compassion and to try to understand people before just making a decision to cut them off. But the reality is about 50% of the time, people are just dicks. And I think now you're finally getting to this really mature place, though, where like it just doesn't affect you the same way it used to, you know? Like you found the right balance. It's like you don't want to just go off, on anyone, but you don't mind telling a bitch about themselves either, if they make it clear, you know what I mean, that they're just trash, or yeah. I don't know. I feel like this has like been a really tricky thing, because for a lot of you, again, this is like a whole ass community that you're a part of or that you started, you know? Like it can be really hard to be in that position, because you got to deal with just everybody. But I feel like before, even, you know, it's like you would allow this to kind of really like get you in your feelings. You know, there was something about you showing up for people in a really positive way, and then sometimes just shitting on people that, you know, don't do anything to them, but that it's just how the world works. And I think here you've kind of figured out how to use your intuition and to be more patient, to figure out who's who, and if you're just misinterpreting, or if you really need to just cut a bitch out, you know? It's really wise, though. Tell me about this Page of Cups. Why is this the problem? The Page of Wands in the reverse, the Tower in the reverse, some Aries Scorpio energy, the Seven of Swords in the reverse, the Lovers in the reverse, Gemini energy. The Queen of Wands, the Star. Some of you started this community. It's like, you know, people watch you or something. Like you could have channels, you know, you could have some type of social media influence, you know, like this could be an actual community that you lead. So for each of you it's different, but a lot of you, it's like you're in a position, it's very like public, you know, and everyone kind of knows who you are. So, you know, I feel like you have status. And you know, maybe you just accepted that with this, whatever type of attention that you're getting. Because if you see the Queen of Wands and the Star, we're talking getting attention. That there's going to be some people who just don't have their shit together. You know, it's, especially if this is like something online, like you know, people don't act online like they would in regular life. They talk shit, they act crazier than they usually would. It depends on like the type of thing that you're doing as well. And the truth is, like, the more drama that there is, the more views that there is, the more negativity, the more spite, the more drama, the more views it'll get. You know, somebody's not really about that life, though. They're like, eh. But definitely there will always be these people, you know, people that don't want to admit that they're part of why their life is falling apart, you know. It's people who just are having a shit day and decide they're going to attack someone for no reason. You know, those people just exist, you know? And I think for a lot of you, because you're here watching tarot, some of you even like read tarot, and this is the life of a tarot reader. You know, it's like 90% of people watching are like, thank you. Like, this is like, thank you so much, you know? And then there's like that other 10% throughout the years that are just like, savage, you know what I mean? It's like some people let you out of the house, are you okay, you know? But like that's the reality of, you know, the internet. Not necessarily people that you're gonna get for like private personals or anything like that, you know? It's like the actual like wild internet. Like, you know, but anything like that, you know, there's just gonna be those people that feel a lot more comfortable hating from behind a screen. And I feel like here it's just like, you know, not allowing anything or anyone to come between whatever it is that you love to do here. Like there's just some, you know, something that is like your thing. And nobody does it quite like you. There's a lot of people who love you. Everybody knows who you are. You know what I mean? Or like a lot of people do, you know. Let's not get too big. But for some of you, it might actually be that, you know. But for a lot of you, it's because, you know, like if you're heading this community or you're kind of up there and you have to give like advice and stuff, like you feel like you have to act a certain type of way. And it can be really hard with this kind of pressure, with the type of controversy and nonsense that can come with something that should just be simple. You know, that it's like, it never really is, though. And the more successful that you get, you know, it's like, it just gets more intense. So for some of you, it's like maybe sometimes this really takes a toll on your mental health. You may not be able to show up acting like it does, you know, but it can just be really draining emotionally. You know, if you're a sensitive person and you're just trying to like deal with hate, that's really hard. Like you can show up like it doesn't bother you, but like, you know, behind the scenes, I don't feel like it's felt like that in the past. In the past, you were just like hiding like the pain of it all or something, you know. And I think you're finally learning to not really give a shit. Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one. Some buttholes ain't nice. They're not. It's these are the not nice buttholes, and yeah, we don't have to deal with them. I just feel like, yeah, in the past, if you were like really involved more, I think that's what it is. It's like whatever the situation is, there's a part of it that you miss where you were able to connect with people on a more personable level. Things have gotten kind of bigger now, and it's hard to do that because, you know, even though you have plenty more like outstanding followers or great community people in the community, you know, there's also like those bad apples. And, you know, I think you have to approach this almost on like a sociopathic level, you know, like you can care about certain people, but there have to be some people where you literally like do not empathize, do not have compassion for, like just block a bitch and keep it moving, because, you know, if you let it get to you, I mean, it's what I mean by that is like without regret, without remorse, you know, but also maybe not even like cursing somebody out or anything, just straight up, as this suggests, just pruning them from your garden. But in the past, I think there definitely was some mistakes from your ego, you know, where you would like clap back at people. And what's interesting is, again, like if this is something on social media, you'll get more attention with that than just being a straight shooter. But whoever I'm talking to isn't looking for that type of attention specifically. You know, yeah. Plus, they don't like to show up like that because it's not the real them. It's like this fake them that's trying to protect the real them, that's deeply sensitive and hurt by the negative things people say for no reason at all. Yeah. So it's all, you know, I think most people have that natural front to kind of get a little rowdy or like gangsta instead of hurt. And it's not like fake, but it's fake. It's like, a front to not show that, like, you are bothered by something here. Where today, I think you are just absolutely not fucking bothered by something anymore. Like, you've been dealing with this for so long, you'd be like, yeah, I block. And just carry on with the people who, you know, do give a shit, who do see you the way that, you want to be seen. I just feel like there's more, you're just paying attention to the genuine people, making sure that you show up for them, and not really paying attention to any of these other people. Anyone who's just trying to block you, hurt you in some kind of way. Which is good, because people today are just a mess. They just are reckless, They don't care who they're hurting. And at the same time, we can't be so sensitive that we're hurt by just anything, What's the advice moving forward? The Eight of Swords in the reverse, the Five of Swords. It's kind of interesting. I feel like you have to surrender this old version of you that would want to clap back or get into conflict or maybe even think on it too long, because these are both swords cards. Overthink it. Somebody says something stupid and you're upset for 2 or 3 days over it. It's too sensitive. But I feel like it's because we're showing up, and one, this is something that you like to do, right? It's something you're actually involved in and and somewhere where you generally feel accepted. So a little sensitive to the negativity, but it's important to remember that not everybody is right in their head, that some people, they just, it doesn't necessarily have something to do with you. They just show up like this, ready to conquer and defeat. They swinging that sword. There's no reason to really even think on these people, you know what I mean? Because think about it, what somebody's saying to you is in a moment's time, and they're not, even thinking about that shit tomorrow or something, but you thinking about it for the next couple of days and taking that shit straight to the heart. And it's from somebody who, if you knew in real life, or, especially if that's an online thing, or somebody that you really shouldn't be, worried about how they really feel about you. It's there's something about other people's opinions that, really, if they don't even fucking know you, it's a totally uneducated estimation, that they have an opinion of, so it's you just can't even let it get to you. That's the advice. Don't even let that shit get to you. Don't even think about it for more than a second. Just block somebody and carry on about your day, because even if you've spent 2 minutes cursing a bitch out, that's more attention than they deserve. And that's the truth. All right. I'll see you guys soon.